Did you see the latest cuts that iHeart had, and they are now targeting midday people? Now it's almost all of middays now is AI.
They just FLZ just got rid of Katie Summers, who had been there for over 20 years. That was a brutal firing. And if that doesn't mark the beginning of the end, I don't know. That marks the beginning of the end way more than anything Tesla is doing right now. When you start blowing out the core people that have survived 6, 7, 8 of the mass firings that have happened over the last 10 years at iHeart, like there's nobody left.
And Katie Summers did what day part?
She did middays for like 100 stations.
Exactly. She did middays and then voice tracked it for pennies on a dollar across America, and they got rid of her. And she's been a market staple for 20 plus years. She's talented. She's great. There's no way in the world you should ever get rid of her.
Did you see what the TV broadcasters are freaking out about? They just did this whole news report. It was like a 30-minute special, and it was all about AI. Did you guys talk about this?
No.
And at the end, the reporter at the end of the thing admitted that she was an AI-generated newscaster.
Oh,
the whole entire time.
So they do a whole. I like to see if you can get Vlummy that. I'd love to watch that. But but when Katie Summers for 93.3 FLZ, the first radio station that I worked at in Tampa, Florida, one that's very dear to my heart, the Power Pig. She's been doing middays for 20 plus years. She also was towing the corporate line by voice tracking middays in what, Seth, maybe 50 markets?
A ton. I mean, if you've survived iHeart, over the last however many years of them letting people go, they've let program directors go. They've let midday shows go. I mean, they've let everybody go.
They let Hartley Atkins, who was the president of all radio markets. Think about that. You only report to one person, and that would be Bob. Is it Bob Eatman? Bob, I don't know, whoever the CEO is, who, by the way, just re-signed a contract at $15.5 million, at 29. Let me look at Bob Eatman from iHeart's new deal. So Hartley Atkins started as a sales person, just a lonely sales guy, fresh-faced kid out of Gainesville. When I was at the Power Pig, him and Desiree and Bobby and LT and Jim Beard, they were all, the sales staff. Hartley Atkins worked his way up the iHeart corporate ladder to be the president, based out of Washington, D.C. He went up after Tampa and ran the D.C. market as a market manager, continued to climb corporately, and then made his way up to the president of all markets. You're second in charge at that time, third in charge, because they got this little bozo duo named Bob Eatman, and there's two dudes.
Pittman.
Bob Pittman
and Rich Bressler.
And Rich Bressler. They pretty much have bamboozled and hoodwinked whoever owns iHeart for however long to continue to make these cuts. And Lummy, will you tell me what's the guy's name? Bob
Pittman.
Bob Pittman just cut a new salary deal. Now, Hartley Atkins loses his job, been with the company 30, 40 years, started out as a lonely salesman on 93.3 FLZ, works his way up to president of all markets, probably making couple million bucks, but he's a true radio guy, and, all market managers report to him, and Hartley is Hartley should be, running the company instead of this Bob Pittman dude. Bob Pittman, before he got to iHeart, ran AOL. Truly, he was in charge of AOL. Can you look up Bob Pittman's new?
That's what I'm looking for in his deal. They have a lot of he can use the private jet. He has it till 2029. I'm trying to see how much it's worth.
He signed a new deal, taking his new contract through 2029. I'm going to go to words. Give me the info.
Okay.
But when Katie Summers, who's been doing middays for 20 plus years, talented as hell, great person, who's also voice tracking, meaning not only is she doing middays at 93.3 FLZ, but she's also voice tracking, 50 or 60 other, top 40 midday stations for like literally they pay them like $1,000 or $2,000 a market. Like that's it. Now it's good for Katie. She can clean up on the deal, but she's not, making near what she should make. And when they cut her, when she gets fired for AI, then don't any of you think that you're not potentially on the chopping block. When Hartley Atkins, the president of all markets, who's been there nearly 35 to 40 years and started out as a salesperson at 93.3 the FLZ, the Power Pig, and worked his way all the way up to market president, who probably knows more about radio and that company than Bob Pittman, when he gets fired, good luck to you people. They are just absolutely bleeding money. All radio stations are most. Now, John Cratchlow, who's a mom and pop smaller station, he's small enough to be able to make money and really keep the purse strings tight and make various adjustments as needed. The smaller companies will make money or can survive. The larger ones have so much debt that they're either selling properties, selling towers, abandoning formats. And Macho Man, there's been some, I think you'll verify that there's been some companies that have literally just have relinquished their AM or FM licenses and given them back to the FCC because they can't afford to run them. They've actually handed their licenses and turned their stations dark because they cannot afford to run the radio stations anymore. Radio's in trouble. And so Bob Eatman, I just, for the life of me, being on the talent side of things, can't understand. You can get in Tampa, Florida, you can get a really good talent for 60 to 80 to 100 grand. Now it's not the $1.5 million that I was the last guy in Tampa to make have $1 million contract per year. I would say. And I messed that up. That's my fault. But even in today, no matter how, if I had continued to stay with 98.7 or even continued to stay with Cox, Seth, they would have whittled me down. They could not have continued to afford to pay me, and I would have had to, either quit or take lesser money and do what I'm doing now, kind of a hybrid deal where I do, a radio show that we repurpose digitally. But these radio companies are going to air personalities, much like Russ Rollins' new deal. Russ is a good friend of mine, and I know that you've stayed in contact with him, Tuttle.
Yep.
And they went to Russ and said, Russ, you're making $300. We're going to pay you $150, and you can broadcast your Monsters of the Midday show live on YouTube, which you own. And moving forward, you can own your content. That or leave. There's no okay, hold on. I was making 300. Can we? Going down to 150 is a little drastic. Can we make it? Can we make it 275? Nope. You can either take 150, retain your digital rights, start broadcasting your show not only on 104.1 Real Radio, whatever the hell it's called over there, Real Radio.
Yeah, Real Radio.
And while you're doing your show, repurpose that live on YouTube. Try to recoup and make money on digitally, but the number is 150. And they say, and Seth, I know you've had people that have told you, they say, take it or leave it. That's our final. We're not negotiating here. That's it.
There's not even a cost of living raise anymore.
No. And so I have a problem when you're cutting out Katie Summers, when you're halving Russ Rollins' salary to throw him his little YouTube bone. Meanwhile, I went back 3 years just so I could get a better understanding. This is what the CEO of iHeart makes. He just cut a new deal, and I can't find the actual number on that, but they're saying potentially 15 to 18 million.
Yeah, it looks like in the deal it says that the numbers should stay the same on like the base and things like that, but he gets a little bit more compensation.
So Bob Pittman, as he's firing Katie Summers, as he's firing Hartley Atkins,
John Boy and Billy is retiring this year too,
and they're getting rid of John Boy and Billy.
Oh no!
And they're telling Russ Rollins 50% on the base, take it or leave it. The longtime market manager Linda Bird was shown the door because she was making too much money, and your CEO made $16.3 million in 22, made $13.9 million in 23. Made $12.9 million last year and is scheduled to make $18 million this year, and just signed another deal through 2025 that's going to be anywhere between 15 and 19 million a year. You look at second in charge, Robert, he's the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer. They call it the Bob and Robert show. So your CFO last year, 2024. So if you take both of these two salaries, it looks like they pretty much mirror each other. Robert Bressler made $12.6 million last year, made 13.6 the year before, and made 15.5 in 22. If you look at these two bozos, they're making 30 million combined a year. How many midday personalities who people really know and can like and can gravitate to and might even stick with your radio station longer, what are they doing for you compared to what these bozos are doing for you? You know what they're doing? They're getting fired. And you know what they're making? 30, 40, maybe 50,000 a year. And you're firing them. But your two slinging D's, Robert Pittman and Bressler, are making a combined income of $25 million with golden parachutes clauses that when they leave in 2029, Lummy, they get, however many years salary and use of the private plane and the whole 9 yards.
Jeez.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And Russ Rollins, I feel for you, my friend. And you know what, Russ? I can just give you one bit of information. One, moving forward, own your content, which I think you cut, which is a good deal, and bust your ass on streaming. Build that, do ancillary stuff off the air outside of 104.1 that's exclusive to your YouTube channel, because eventually, Russ, that's all you're going to have. And I'm not saying that, listen, Russ and I talk friendly, but he knows that, the end is near. The end is near.